Okay, so this is 6.2, factoring trinomials. Terrible F. So we're factoring trinomials, and these are just some examples. So these are actually the problems on the worksheet that's posted in Canvas. So I'll do these, and then you can do them by yourself, but you can use the video to have the answers. So x squared plus 9x plus 20. So we want to make sure that we remember, and let's go through the steps honestly, because in the first video I just kind of went through the process. So you should always make sure that your problem is in descending order. So remember, descending order means the exponent values count down in order. So 2, 1, and then no variable at all. So we're good there. Then you're supposed to check for a GCF. Alright, so you basically factor out a greatest common factor, if possible, okay? So when we look at this problem, we don't have a greatest common factor. None of these on this page have a greatest common factor, essentially. And then that's when we do our process. So then we factor. So what does that mean? We're looking for factors of C. You got to make sure you remember your C. C is the constant. Factors of C that add or subtract. And it's really add because we use signs to get the B term. Alright, and remember our answer is going to be in two sets of parentheses, right? So we're looking at x squared plus 9x plus 20. So I know it's two sets of parentheses. I know my x squared is going to split as x and x. So then this is where all my work comes from. All my work is scratch work. I need factors of 20. And I'm looking for factors of 20 that can somehow add or subtract to create a 9. So out of the pairs that I see of the factors, 4 and 5 can give me a 9. Well, how do I check it? So plus 4 plus 5 is 9. And then if I multiplied those together, I'd get the 20. So plus 4 plus 5. My problem is factored. I'm finished. And that's it. Number 2. So we already know the first two check. Everything on this page is descending order. Nobody has a greatest common factor. So we can just go straight to our factoring. So factors of 24. That will give us a 10. Alright, so in this group, we can use 2 and 12 or 4 and 6, because both of those will give us 10. So let's do 2 and 12 first. So 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Check. 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. That's not a check, because what we need is a positive 24. So that means 2 and 12 don't work. Now we'll try the 4 and the 6. So 4 and 6 is positive 10. So if we make them both negative, we can get the negative 10. And if we multiply both of them, we will get positive 24. So double checks. So x, and then minus 4, minus 6. And we are done. It's factored. And again, you can always multiply it by distributing it to check it to see if you get back the original trinomial. All right, number 3. Number 3, we're looking at x squared minus 8x plus 12. So we're looking for factors of 12 that can give us an 8. This is wrong. My mistake. Hold on. 2 and 6. All right, so factors of 12, 1 and 12, no. 3 and 4, no. 2 and 6 can give us an 8. So let's see. We need a negative 8. So negative 2 minus 6. And then negative 2 times negative 6. So one thing that's helpful is when you understand your rules of multiplication. You know that the C term comes from a product, meaning two numbers being multiplied. The numbers that are multiplied are those factors that you're looking for. So if you know you need a positive 12 and your middle number, your middle term is negative, The only way you can get a product that's positive and add and subtract numbers that's negative is if they are both negative numbers. So that just kind of helps you with your signs, right? So if you have a plus in your third term, that means both of the factors have the same sign. All right, so this would be x minus 2, x minus 6. And it doesn't matter. So meaning if you have x minus 6, x minus 2, that's still the correct answer, right? Multiplication is commutative. So as long as the factors are correct and their signs are correct, who you put in the first set of parentheses doesn't matter. All right, so then we have x squared minus 4x plus 5, and then x squared plus 4x plus 21. So you pause it and you try to do number 4 and 5 by yourself, and I'm going to do them. Okay, so I didn't do them both because when I did the first one, I saw what happened. So I just wanted to go over it with you. So when you work it, you do factors of 5, you get 1 and 5. Well, 1 and 5 can give you a negative 4 if you do 1 minus 5. That'll give us negative 4. But if you multiply those numbers, you end up with a negative 5, right? So that doesn't check out for us. And we have to get a positive 5. And so it goes back to what I just said with number 3. Essentially, if this is a positive 5, that means that whatever factors I choose, they're going to have the same sign. And so when we look at that, if we use the 1 and the 5 as both positive, that would yield a positive 5 multiplied, but added it would be a 6. If we make them both negative, it would multiply and get a positive 5, but it would get a negative 6. So it's no way for us to get the negative 5, the negative 4, and the positive 5. Because the only way we can get the positive 5 is if we multiply like signs. But if we add those like signs, it'll never yield the negative 4. So what does that mean? This is a prime. Because there are no factors of 5 that can produce the negative 4, which means there is no two binomials that can multiply to create that trinomial. So that trinomial can only break down to 1 times itself. So therefore, you would just write prime. All right? And then on number 5, factors of 21. That can give us a 4. So again, we're at the same issue because we have a positive 21. 3 and 7 can give us a 4. But if it's 7 minus a 3, and we multiply those numbers, we get a negative 21. So in order for us to get the 4, the 3 and the 7 would have to subtract, which means the signs would be different. There's no way we can get the positive 21. So this is another prime. Okay? So if your factors never can create that middle term, then you end up with something that's prime. And that's how you factor. Let's do some more. All right, so here we're looking at x squared plus x minus 20. So factors of 20. That'll give us x. But x is really a what? A 1x, right? So we're trying to create a 1, a positive 1. So 4 and 5 is going to be our pair. So I need a positive 1. So if I do negative 4 plus 5, that'll give me a positive 1. If I multiply those numbers, that would give me a negative 20. Remember, you need double check. You need to be able to get the middle term from the sum, adding or subtracting, and you need to be able to multiply the numbers and get that last C term, so negative 20. So I know these are my factors. So 2 sets of parentheses, xx minus 4 in one spot, plus 5 in the other. And that's it. All right, number 7. Factors of negative 6 that give a negative 5. So factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So let's do 2 and 3. 2 and 3 can give us 5. So if we do negative 2 minus 3, that gives us negative 5. Check. What happens if we multiply them? we would get positive 6. That doesn't work. So yes, it gives us negative 5, but they don't multiply to create the positive 6, which means that's not the factors. So let's try the 1 and the 6. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Check. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Check. Double check. If you get double checks, meaning you get 2 check marks because you get the sum and get the B term, and when you multiply them, you get the C term. What does that mean? That means those are your factors. So when I multiply create my factors to multiply this, I'm going to get x plus 1, x minus 6. And that's it. And remember, you can always distribute, right? Multiply it through so that you can check your work, so that you can see if it works out. So like x squared plus 5x minus 4x minus 20. X squared plus x minus 20. Check, check. X squared minus 6x plus 1x minus 6. X squared minus 5x minus 6. Check, check. So we know it's correct. All right, then we have factors of negative 8 that give us 5. So factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. So 1 and 8 can never give us a 5. We can get a 7, we can get a 9. 2 and 4 can give us a 2 or a 6. Whether we change the signs or not, it's still going to give us those numbers. They'll never be able to give us a negative 5. So there are no factors of 8 that can give us 5. So we're finished. It's prime. All right, next one is negative 28. So factors of negative 28 that can give us 12. So see if you can do 9 and 10 by yourself. Pause it and do 9 and 10, and then play it back, and I'll have the answers for you. All right, so on 9, we have factors of negative 28. So we're looking for the factors of 28 that can give us a positive 12. So when we go through the list, the 2 and the 14 would work. So here's what's important on these. This C term is negative in all these examples. So what does that mean? That means whatever factors we find, their signs are going to have to be different. Because in order for you to multiply 2 factors and get a negative number, the signs must be different. And so when you understand your rules of your signs, it's going to help you cut out little mistakes, okay? So because I know my 28 is negative, that means whatever pair of factors I choose, they're going to have different signs. One's going to have to be positive, one's going to have to be negative. So on this one, it's the 2 and the 14. So we should get negative 2 plus the 14 would give us the positive 12, and multiply to get the negative 28. So those are our factors there. And then on number 10, factors of negative 24, that'll give the negative 5, be a positive 3 and a negative 8. So x plus 3 times x minus 8. And that's factoring trinomials.